Welcome to Simply Health Conscious, where we explore science and strategies behind optimal health, sustainable weight loss, and vibrant well-being. I'm your host, Graham Hawley, Certified Health and Wellness Coach. Each week we'll explore practical tips and expert insight to help you fuel your body, move with purpose, manage stress, and create other lifestyle strategies to support your best health. Now, whether you're looking to lose weight, boost your energy, or take control of your health, you're in the right place. Today I am happy to welcome Molly Dyer, clinical herbalist and acupuncturist at Light and Dark Acupuncture. Molly has a diploma in Traditional Chinese Herbalism for Dermatology and is a certified member of the ITCMDA, International Traditional Chinese Medicine Dermatology Association. She also has a license in acupuncture. Molly focuses on helping individuals who suffer from skin disorders such as eczema, acne, psoriasis, and uses natural, nature-based, non-pharmaceutical solutions to heal their skin from the inside out. Wow, that's quite a mouthful there, Molly. Tell us exactly what you do.
Yeah, so I focus on using herbal therapy from the traditional Chinese medicine model in order to help people heal their skin. And so I provide them with an internal herbal formula and a topical herbal formula, or topicals, depending on what their condition is, and use those along with diet and lifestyle recommendations to help improve their skin health.
Great. You threw diet and lifestyle in there because that's definitely something to do with skin health.
Yes.
Among overall health, of course. So why do you focus on the non-pharmaceutical natural treatment options?
I have to say that, there are a lot of criticisms of modern dermatology and criticisms of modern medicine, and there's also many people that are very pro modern medicine. I'm really in between in the sense that I respect medication. I think it can be life-saving, but I also think that there are a lot of challenges in the medical community these days, making it harder for people to get what they need in order to heal. And I'm a minimalist. I really don't want to use medication unless I have to use medication. I know that there are a lot of potential side effects to many medications. I also think a lot of times we're just covering symptoms and never resolving problems with the medications that we offer. And in the realm of skincare, that's particularly true. I've really noticed that there's not a lot of great options when it comes to medications in skincare. You're typically on some combination of antibiotics or steroids or topical steroids, all of which have their pros and their cons. And there are even new life-sustaining medications like biologics, which can be incredible, but also have their pros and cons. I try to find natural solutions when and where I can. And I think the thing that it comes down to for me is that I opted to go the non-pharmaceutical route with my education because I really feel like a lot of modern dermatology isn't focused on healing the underlying physiology that's out of function, that's not functioning properly. We see a lot of covering the problem and just never getting the body back to where it won't recur. Whatever the issue is won't recur. If it's acne, it's going to come on back once you've stopped a medication, for instance.
I agree with you with all of that. There's definitely, in some cases, need for pharmaceutical drugs. There's no getting away from that, but I'd say most of them, certainly for lifestyle disease, don't get to the root cause. All the covering up is the symptoms, and so you come off that, boom, you're back right on it.
Right.
And if you want to take that a step further, is people who stay on the medication, really what it means is they're still feeding the disease.
Right.
Especially when it comes to nutrition and other lifestyle strategies. I do tip my hat that you're moving more into the natural treatment, because I hear so many things, not just about skin, but other ways of natural remedies, which seem to be far better than pharmaceutical, but let's not go down that rabbit hole, eh? How is your approach different from what people might get from other dermatologists? I'm assuming the non-pharmaceutical.
I mean, my approach is much more holistic in the sense that Chinese medicine really takes into consideration the body, the mind, and the spirit. and how those impact one another. Many skin conditions are worse with stress or anxiety, or they can cause stress and anxiety. And I would never treat a person for their skin condition without considering how it's impacting their emotional health and their sleep. And all of those things work together. When you get all of those systems working in their best capacity, then you're able to heal more quickly and more easily. So it's just going to be less of a direct focus on this skin. And I'm going to ask questions that are deep about a person's whole life and all of their systems. And a lot of times people fill out my paperwork not fully answering all those questions. They think, well, that's not related to my skin and that's not related to my skin, but it is. It's all related. And in Chinese medicine, we're very good at looking at the combination or the correlation between different systems and how they impact one another.
I'm the same with health as well. I work with what I call the 5 pillars of health, which obviously you're familiar with, because they all have an impact on your overall health. I'm probably going to say they all have an impact on your skin, and that is nutrition, exercise and movement, stress management, sleep quality, and being mindful of alcohol consumption.
Can I jump in here and
Yeah,
ask you a
absolutely.
question about your work as a health coach? I'm curious what you think the biggest misconception is about how diet and lifestyle can impact a person's health.
I think there's a few misconceptions there. There's a bunch of them. Diet and lifestyle changes are only necessary when something goes wrong. And unfortunately, a lot of people wait until that type of thing occurs before they say, "Oh, I need to make some lifestyle changes." Developing a lifestyle disease can take years, even decades. You're not aware of that, and you don't jump onto it as quick as you can. Could well be setting yourself up for a lot of issues. And I think many believe they can eat anything as long as they're working out. Well, exercise can't compensate for poor nutrition.
Yeah.
And then another big one, I think it's all about the calories. While calories matter, it's where those calories come from is what really matters. Are they coming from real whole food versus ultra processed foods? Because you get a very different outcome with either one. The truth really is that your daily choices of nutrition and calories are either investing in your future health or quietly, slowly undermining it. And the good news is it's never too late to make these lifestyle changes. Consistent changes make a huge difference over time. I call it small steps, big wins.
Yeah, I like that. You focus on this like long-term transformation through small, sustainable habits. And I'm curious to know because I do the same and when I'm treating skin, it takes a long time for people to see a change when they're making these small micro changes that do make a big difference over time. So I'm curious to know how you help people stay committed through the process.
Well, various things really. Mindset is a huge part of the success. Lasting change. I help clients shift the mindset from all or nothing or expecting something to happen real quickly. More of an approach that is progress over time. We work with building self-awareness, identifying limiting beliefs, and developing a strong why. Why am I doing this? Behind each goal they set. I also encourage clients to view setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and that's okay. I think that's part of the process. It's about creating a healthy internal dialogue that supports your long-term success and health.
I agree.
What is your favorite transformation story? A person whose skin has healed dramatically through herbal treatment.
I have several of those. There's one that came to my mind first when I thought about this, which is a man who is still in the course of treatment. So I'm just going to give the quick response to why this one came to my head. His body was probably 70% covered in erythema, which is redness. and inflammation. And so he was just completely covered, large swaths of his body really covered in redness and inflammation. And when you have that kind of level, that level of inflammation, you can't sleep at night. Your body can't control its temperature because that's part of the skin's job. And so you're hot, you're cold, you're itching, you're uncomfortable, and you're up all the time. It's really misery. And this man came in and did like 1 week of herbs and came back completely clear of redness.
Wow.
And so that was really incredible. But this man, now we have to retrain his adrenals to function properly because they were not functioning properly. He had a condition that's called topical steroid withdrawal. And topical steroid withdrawal usually comes from the mismanagement of using topical steroids and or in combination with internal steroids. And it does take time to get the body back on target where the adrenals are functioning properly. That takes time. So he's still in the course of treatment. So I thought of his case first, but I also thought of probably the case that kind of launched me into this dermatology career. And that's this man who came in his 30s and he'd done 20 years of everything the dermatologist asked him to do for his really deep cystic acne. And he'd been through topicals and medications, and he'd done laser therapy, and he'd done all these different things. And he just was ready to try something new. I was in the course of training for the dermatology program where I got my certification and was willing to kind of work with him as I was going through that training. And not only did his skin clear fairly quickly, but this man, his story really kind of changed the trajectory of my career because I watched him go through so many positive changes. I mean, he came in at a time that he was under so much stress. And his acne was just like kind of the tip of the iceberg. You could tell there was so much going on inside his body that was inflammatory and not healthy. And it was really just the part that was showing all of the stress that he was going through and some trauma as well. And he turned around quickly in a couple months and then continued to have occasional flares here and there when stress would come and go, or anxiety, or if he wasn't sleeping well. But he started getting into just all kinds of health things. So it was kind of like the work that you do, where helped him by finding the herbs that were going to be the most supportive for healing his acne. But it took time. And it would get better, and then it'd get a little worse, but get better again. And as we went, each time it would be better and better, and it would be longer and longer he would go between having flares of acne. And in the end, he really just changed his entire life. He sleeps better. He
Wow.
managed his stress better. He pays attention to how much exercise he's getting. He's always been into exercise, but he's really looked at the metrics of how that impacts his sleep and how it impacts his stress and how it impacts his acne. And he's just a healthier, happier person long term. So he's another one that I really am proud to have gotten to work with, and also just to get to see his life change in
Yeah,
the
it's so rewarding when you see people's lives are changing. They have more energy. As for you, the skin the conditions improve, what it does to them mentally. It's wonderful. Which would you say is the most common skin condition that you treat?
Most commonly, I'm treating acne and eczema. Those are what show up the most in the clinic. I also treat a lot of psoriasis, TSW, topical steroid withdrawal, some rosacea, viral warts, impetigo, seborrheic dermatitis, but the very most common are definitely acne and eczema.
Can you walk us through a typical treatment plan from the first visit to the result?
The first time a person comes in, it's 80 to 90 minutes, and we review the person's health history, and we take some before photos so that we can have them ready for a before and after photo picture at the end. I do love making before and after photos. It's one of the things I enjoy the most in the work that I do. And then after that, I typically want to see someone once a week for a while. It depends on the condition, but a lot of times it's 4 to 6 sessions where I'll see them once a week. Now, if they've had something for a really long time and it's really persistent and they've tried everything, I'm probably going to say 12 sessions once a week. And that way I can adjust and tweak their formula as we go, their herbal formula, the one that they're taking internally. And I tweak it as I see the skin change, to address what I'm seeing change in the skin. I make sure to space it out as soon as it's possible. So as soon as I can start giving them 2 weeks worth of herbs instead of 1 week, I do that. And then once I can get them to be able to take 1 month of herbs, I do that. But this just depends upon how quickly the condition changes and how their body responds to the herbs. But I would say it's not uncommon for me to work with someone for a minimum of 3 to 6 months. So for some conditions, I can say 3 months, but many conditions, it's 6 months. The skin takes time to heal. And especially when you're doing it naturally, right? We're not giving you a medication that just covers up the symptom. We're doing some deep work and it's going to take time. So you can definitely be responsible for your health and you can get your health turned around, but it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to taste good, and it's not always going to be as quick as you want it to be.
And I'm assuming that you educate them about like the 5 pillars of health I just spoke about.
I do. Yeah, it doesn't come up like that, but it comes up in my sessions. Absolutely.
Lots of things can damage your skin.
That's right. I'm curious. I've been wondering when I started listening to what you talk about out in the world, your content, I was curious about if you put your 5 pillars into a pie graph and you put the weight on how important each one of them is in that pie graph, would they all be equal parts of the pie? Or would you say some of them are bigger parts of the pie? They're more important.
I wouldn't give one pillar the biggest slice than any other. Why? Because you don't get to pick your favorite slice and leave the rest on the plate. You have to eat the whole pie. And that's probably the only time you're going to hear me tell somebody to eat the whole pie. Each pillar, nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, and being mindful of alcohol, are all essential. They all work together. And if one is missing or ignored, your overall health it'll start to crumble like a poorly baked crust. You might feel you can get away with less sleep now and again, or you might be introduced to a bit more stress, but eventually that imbalance, it will catch up with you. I think of it like this: nutrition fuels you, exercise moves you, sleep restores you, stress management calms you down, and being mindful of alcohol consumption keeps your chemistry in check. So if you skimp on any one of those, then your whole system will start to go into some type of dysfunction. Lasting health is about commitment. Because to deal with all these 5 pillars of health, you have to be committed. With my clients, we pick one at a time, usually start with nutrition, pick one at a time, evaluate how many of these 5 pillars they have to work on eventually, and start with nutrition, move into exercise. And most people seem to be dealing with poor nutrition, lack of exercise and movement, and alcohol, and also stress. Alcohol and stress is going to affect your sleep. So the quicker you can get them in order, and obviously it's hard to eliminate stress. Human beings were going to have stress, but I truly believe, and I know that you can reduce stress. Certainly if you log them down. I always get my clients to journal the journey. Each one, nutrition, exercise, just journal it. So you have something to go back on. And I think if you write what's stressing you down, and then you say, okay, I can't eliminate this because it's a family member or it's a work situation, but how do I reduce it? And I think by reducing all your little areas of stress, then it really brings your stress level down.
Well, it's like you said, little things add up. And feeling 30% better, getting 30% better sleep is huge. It makes a huge difference. So I think you're right. This is how to go about it. And it's the most sustainable and manageable way to go about it.
Yeah, exactly. And back to the thing, it takes time. Unfortunately, here in America, we're always looking for a quick fix.
Right.
Right, instant gratification. Oh, I can lose weight, but it's going to take me maybe 2, 3 months before I start to. I don't want that. I'll take the injection. It's if people can get away from these quick fixes and get to the root cause of the problem, they're heading for long-term optimal health and not long-term struggles and disabilities and skin conditions. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Everything takes time.
I'm curious to know what your best and coolest result was. You asked me about mine. I'd love to know what you've seen.
With a client who'd been struggling with weight loss and high blood pressure for years. And through simple, consistent changes, weekly changes, cleaning up his nutrition, incorporating daily walking and some strength training, prioritizing sleep because he didn't have an alcohol or stress problem. Not only did he lose over 25 pounds within the 3 months we were working together, he continued to lose weight. Also, his blood pressure dropped significantly that his doctor reduced and eventually eliminated his medication. But here is the great part of this story. Unbeknownst to me, his wife was also following the same guided nutrition and lifestyle plan. Her results were dramatic. Her doctor first reduced and then eliminated her diabetes and high blood pressure medications within that 3 month period. And she lost weight. And they are both now leading healthy, vibrant lives. Did I mention she was 71? So
Wow.
it's never too late to start. And once you get your life in order like that and you can get off your medications, you're exercising, you're following the 5 pillars of health, what I think it does, it gives you a peace of mind that you're not setting yourself up for the number one killer, cardiovascular, heart disease, heart attack and stroke. And you're also not setting yourself up for the number two leading cause of death, certain types of cancer. What's the third leading cause of death? The overprescription of pharmaceutical medications. I know people with type 2 diabetes, they say, no, it's not reversible. Well, I'm glad to say, it is reversible. It's not hereditary, it's a lifestyle disease. You mentioned using both internal and topical herbal medicines. How do you decide what someone needs?
This really is how we go about incorporating that kind of approach you're talking about that involves really reversing or changing something that seems like it's unchangeable and too resistant. And this is how we do it. In Chinese herbalism, we want to treat the inside out. We want to touch the gut microbiome, which really sets the body up for so much,
Oh, absolutely.
and then from there, we want to also offer topical medication. So, and by medication, I mean herbal, natural, non-pharmaceutical solutions is probably the better word. What I do is I provide a concentrate that have been cooked in water and then a little bit of alcohol is added. It's not a huge amount of alcohol at all. It's enough to keep it shelf stable. So if you know about herbal tinctures, they've got just a tiny bit of alcohol in them. So that's what I use primarily when I'm working with clients. If clients are unable to do the alcohol at all, then I've got other options for them for their internal formula. And what I do is when I'm working with an internal formula, like I said, I'm going to tweak it every week or every couple weeks as I see the skin changing, and I'm going to be paying attention to what is the current phase of healing that the person is in, because I use different types of herbs in 3 different phases. As we go through the treatment, I kind of start in phase 1, then I move them into phase 2, and then I finally move them into phase 3. And the point of phase 3 is to prevent the return of whatever their skin condition is. So I'm paying attention to what is the current phase of healing they're in, and also what is their skin's presentation at the moment. And then finally, like, who is the person? Who is the person in front of me, and how are they responding, and how are they sleeping, and how are they handling stress? Is there something I need to add in just for who they are and how they're appearing today in body, mind, and spirit?
And are you creating and mixing all these herbal remedies?
Yeah, I do. I blend them together here in the clinic when they get the concentrates. And sometimes for more severe disorders, like the man with the topical steroid withdrawal, I'll order herbs to be cooked and sent to them. And they arrive in little packages that you can drink from. That's because that is the most potent form of internal herbal medicine, is to cook them in a water decoction. And those are great, but they're they're pricier. So, I usually start with concentrates unless somebody has a pretty severe condition. And then if they've got a severe condition, I'll just tell them, I think that this is going to work a lot better and a lot quicker. Then I add to that, what I do with topicals is I I look at the skin and provide topicals based on what I'm seeing. And I think that's really important because how many people go and buy creams off the shelf because they say that they're going to help their eczema, and it's just some random cream, and you don't know if that cream's really going to help your eczema. And I
Yeah.
just feel like we have such a society of people just jumping out trying natural options. They're looking for natural options, but they sometimes need someone to guide them to the right one. So then we put those together to get the result.
Have you heard of an app called Yucca?
Yeah, I use yucca.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. And the reason I
yeah,
bring that up for us listening, what I really love about it, and it does skin products, it identifies chemicals and hazardous chemicals, and you'll be shocked. You'll be absolutely shocked. How many hazardous chemicals are in food? I don't have children. Now and again, I go down the children's aisle scanning things. I'm blown away. I'm not surprised why children as young as 5 years of age and teenagers are now getting diagnosed with non-alcohol fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, gain, and more.
right.
It just does not surprise me. So if anybody's listening, get this Yucca app at YUKA. It'll give you ratings on foods, whether there's too much sugar in there, there's too much sodium. Then at the bottom, if you scroll, it'll give you healthier options. Because what I've found over the last couple of years, there is definitely a few of the non-conglomerate companies are actually making some healthier things out there. But when it comes to skincare, deodorant, I've got a deodorant, it's got no chemicals in. Because people are rubbing chemicals in the skin all the time and are unaware of it and can
Yeah.
lead to lots of problems. Everything you put on your skin is going to get into your blood. Hey, everything you put in your stomach's going to get into your bloodstream.
Yeah, I use Yucca and I pay for the membership for it. And I actually use it sometimes to research some of the things that my people come in with that they're using on their skin. And the
Mm.
nice thing about it is it'll give you a rating of, is this product excellent? Is it poor?
Right.
One thing I enjoy about it is you can add in your own products. So for instance, I use a deodorant that I've used for years now. I really love it. And it's by just like a Chinese medicine herbalist from Canada. I added it in and now
Oh,
you
I
can,
didn't know that. You pay for this app, do you?
I do. Yeah,
Oh,
I
well,
pay.
and it's funny because I'm constantly looking for shaving cream. I can't find any so far. I can't find any what doesn't have some type of hazardous chemical in. So I just use up my body wash when I'm in the shower.
Does it irritate your skin at all or is it fine?
No,
Yeah,
well,
when you're
no,
using
no. I
it as
mean,
a
I
shea-
wash
yeah.
my body in it, so it's on my skin. I've scanned this one. It's actually by, and I'm not promoting these, but it's a company called Goodfellow, and they don't use any, what was it, phthalates and all the other chemicals. So it's nice and clean.
I think you and I are really committed to finding these products. If we need products at all, we find we're looking for products that are going to be the best for our skin. And I really do come from that less is more standpoint. I'm listening to a book right now called Clean, and I can't remember the rest of the title, but he starts by talking about how he stopped washing for several years. And it's a
What that's
great
not
book to
like.
pull you in. I mean, I immediately was like, what's going to happen with this guy?
Right,
And
right, yeah.
it's a very interesting book that talks about this industry of just like messages that we need all these things on our skin. And I can't tell you how much I would prefer that my people come in with less on their skin because then I can very, methodically choose the correct thing for their skin. But instead, sometimes we have to do a cleanse or a detox or figure out if one of their products is actually harming their skin or is it actually helping their skin. It's very confusing because people feel that they need to put 20 products on their skin.
Right, they've got skin cleaners, they've got moisturizer, they've got even suntan lotion. If you find some more of the natural blocks out there, I think people just maybe go for the cheapest, go for the attractive packaging. They're not thinking. It's the same with household products too, whether it's cleaning products, candles and scents, pushing off toxins, and you sat at home thinking, "No, this smells nice," and you just breathe in a load of toxins.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
you're cleaning, and so it's in food, it's in skin products, and it's in household products. This is what we've got to be aware of what slowly these can do over a long period of time. I just met somebody recently and she started a company. I forget the name of a company, otherwise I'd give it a shout. She started a company with more natural based household products, cleaning products, detergents and dishwashing. I think as time moves on here, we're going to have more people like yourself. We're going to have more companies with the cleaning products, and we're going to hopefully get people to understand that if they eat real food, that is where you're getting all your nutrients from. You eat food to nourish yourself. But when you're eating 80% of your meals through fast food, processed foods, and sugary drinks, you're not nourishing yourself. You're doing the opposite. You're causing slow damage over time.
Yeah, I spend a lot of times with the kids that I work with talking about there's no nutrients in that. You're not getting any nutrients. That's why your brain isn't working when you get to school.
It's okay telling kids, but kids are not really going to tap into that. I think parents need to be educated.
Well, we do educate parents too, but it depends on the kid's age, right? Because
Right.
it is actually tricky because a lot of times I get parents who are going to do whatever. They'll force the kid to eat whatever they think the kid should eat, but the kid isn't willing to do that. And they're at school starting to make their own decisions. Depends on if they're a teen, they may be starting to sneak things here or there, or maybe they're 8 and they've been doing that since they were 10 and since they were 6. It's a tricky.
Right.
So I end up educating both the parent and the kid. Often I've got parents that bring in kids that need the education. And then sometimes I've got kids that come in with parents who could also use the education.
I'm just a big believer here in the 21st century. If you don't educate yourself or you don't get educated about nutrition, you're slowly setting yourself up for some type of dysfunction. I don't think there's really any question of that. I'm not knocking fast food. Well, I am, I guess.
That's fine.
It's okay to eat that every now and again, but what the stats are showing is that it's 80% of majority of people's lifestyle is this food, processed food and sugary drinks.
Right.
It should be the other way around. 80% of the time we should be eating real food. What is real food? Lean organic meats and chicken and wild caught fish, seafood, fruits and vegetable, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, herbs and spices. You know how many wonderful meals you can make from that? You're getting your 3 essential macronutrients, micronutrients, vitamins, minerals. You're not getting that from fast food and processed food. You're just not. That is why we're dealing with this pandemic now. Even my country of origin, lifestyle disease is rampant. And a lot of other countries out there. No education out there how to be healthy. There really isn't. Mainstream media, they don't talk about how to be healthy.
I feel like the attempts are out there, but that people are inundated with what you talked about earlier, instant gratification and messages on social media and messages that are coming at them all the time. And I feel like that is winning out. And I say that just because I am part of the healthcare community, the alternative healthcare community, and I see the efforts people are making. I see what you're saying 100%. I think the education is out there, but it's not always hitting its mark.
It's very minimal from what I can see. Having said that, I don't watch TV. What I can see is it seems to be a blanket thrown over it. In fact, it's the opposite. If you did turn the TV on and you drive around town, all you're seeing is all these adverts and billboards for unhealthy choices, not healthy choices.
And I think it also depends on where you are. What we see here in Denver is very different than what I see when I go home to Missouri. Depends on where you are, what kind of education you're getting. But I will say,
very right.
I guess, I don't know if I'm an optimist or what, but like my dad is a doctor in the Midwest who, for some reason, was really into trying to help people with their diet and their lifestyle and make sure they exercise before giving them medications. Like he was really trying to in that way. And he didn't have any kind of functional medicine training or naturopathic doctor training. I mean, he didn't even know anyone in that realm when he was working in the 80s and the 90s. And I think it's out there. It just it's not the majority.
Majority of doctors, unfortunately. I mean, you go to the doctors nowadays and you have symptoms, they're going to manage your disease with pills, period. We'll get rid of your symptoms, take this. Well, how long do I need to take this, doctor? Probably the rest of your life. That's just how the system's set up, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
get a lot of my information from all the doctors who have left the conventional medical system and can talk about it.
Mm.
I've also had personal experience with a cardiologist, urologists. I don't want to get into because they're long stories. I've had my experience. I don't trust them, unfortunately, not what they've tried to lead me down the garden path.
I like that we have this dichotomy. I kind of like it because I definitely see those doctors, those that leave the field, those that know that it's broken. I also get a majority of my referrals from a doctor who he just refuses to let a person have to succumb to taking medication unless they want to. He works really hard to kind of educate them on what their other options are. And so I do see it changing. But again, I'm here in Denver, Colorado. That's not the doctors that you're seeing in Warrensburg, Missouri, where I'm from. No offense, Warrensburg. I don't know. I don't think that's what they're doing there, like referring people to chiropractors or acupuncturists or nutritionists. It's just these small rural towns or places outside of big cities. It's just slower to have alternative medicine move to those environments. There wasn't any when I was growing up, and I'm lucky I'm in a place where it's just so much more accepted.
Yeah, I think Denver's a little bit more different than places like Missouri. But again, I think it's just how the system's set up.
Right. Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But this is why I say your health is the most important thing. We are responsible for our health, not your doctor,
Yep.
not your parents. We individually are responsible for our own health. So
Yes.
that's why I say you've got to get educated about nutrition and other lifestyle strategies that will lead you to optimal health. So when you get into your 60s, 70s, and 80s, you're not losing your mobility. You don't have all these chronic illnesses like my brother and my father developed through other conditions caused by type 2 diabetes because they weren't educated.
Right.
In fact, they were the opposite. Take this pill, see you in a month.
Right. I mean, I definitely agree and tell my clients regularly, if you don't make lifestyle and diet your habit, learning about it, getting healthy, doing things that make you feel stronger and healthier. If you don't make it one of your habits, then you're going to end up in a place that you didn't expect pretty quickly in
Yep.
terms of symptoms that are uncomfortable in some
Right.
way, probably related to a chronic disease.
Right. These diseases can take decades. And what they're doing, they're slowly doing damage to other vital organs. I'm going to take my brother and my father. They both got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And what they weren't aware of is just by making a few changes, overall, they stayed on the same lifestyle, thinking the medication was a magic bullet. And over time, they both developed other chronic illnesses. My father ended up with 7 chronic illnesses, 8 if you want to call a catheter in 24/7. And then he became housebound. He lost his mobility. Where these diseases can take you, because again, I'm not telling anybody to stop the medication, but if you're going to just be on these medications the rest of your life and stay on the same lifestyle, you're slowly damaging other vital organs. Look at what they call dementia and Alzheimer's now, type 3 diabetes. It's lifestyle.
Right. My perspective is our current system just isn't set up to figure out why do these symptoms keep happening. What I'm most interested in is how do I fix the underlying physiological function, the function of the body? How do I fix the function of the body so that it stops producing these disease results? That's how Chinese herbalism is set up. It's set up to identify what system is out of balance and then help to regain the balance of that system over time. First, you have to clear. So that's that 3-phase approach that I brought up. First, you have to clear the skin disease, and then you have to slowly build the scaffolding to be able to rebuild that system that's not functioning well. So you start to add in just a little bit of herbs that are more nourishing and strengthening to the organ system that's out of balance. And then once you're in a place where the disease has cleared and you've got this scaffolding built, then you can really strengthen and nourish And that's that final phase approach of trying to prevent the recurrence of the disease. That's what I'm most interested in, is the ability to not just cover the
Right.
issue.
Well, yeah, what
Ease
you're
the
doing
challenge.
is you get into the root cause of the problem,
Yeah.
and then you're also, clients have to make some lifestyle changes if they want to keep these problems from returning.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. We're identifying why you're overweight, identifying why you have type 2 diabetes. It's an absolute no-brainer. In fact, both of them are. Both of them
Right.
are quickly, easily resolved.
With dedication.
Well, yeah, you have to commit. That's the first question I ask a client when they come to me. How committed are you to make these lifestyle changes? Because I don't have a magic wand,
Right.
but if
You
you're
gotta do the work.
committed, I can lead you down the right road where your weight will drop off you. It's sustainable weight loss. It's all about what the people are putting in the mouth, getting in the stomach, getting into the bloodstream, affecting all their organs.
What
It's
do you do when they say that they are committed, but they've tried everything and they don't think anything works?
Yeah, that's a good one. Say, have you worked on the 5 pillars of health? Have you worked on your alcohol, your stress levels, sleep, exercise? Usually somebody who's looking to lose weight, they'll change their nutrition. It's not all about nutrition. It's about exercise. So you've changed your nutrition, but you're barely moving and exercising, and it looks like you're drinking a lot of alcohol. You're not going to get to where you want to be. I always go back to these 5 pillars of health. If you focus and work on these 5 pillars of health, then you'll lose weight like that.
Yeah.
You'll have your type 2 diabetes reversed like that. Your high blood pressure like that. Now, I'm not saying there isn't predispositions, but the way to look at a predisposition is to look at it like a loaded gun, and lifestyle pulls the trigger. Because it does. We're all predisposed to something, I would imagine. And
Right.
genetics haven't changed. What's happened over this last 30, 40 years where now children, teenagers are getting sick, adults are sicker than ever, genetics haven't changed. So if you go back and say, well, what's changed? It's this plethora of unhealthy food options. That is what's changed. I don't see kids playing out anymore. Even kids, I don't think, are running around and exercising like we used to do when I was a early teenager in the late 60s, early 70s. We'd come home from school, get out your uniform, and you'd be out with all your mates in the street. Whether you're
Mhm.
climbing a tree, whether you're kicking a ball around on your bike. I always go back to the 5 pillars of health. If you want to be healthy, you have to look at these 5 pillars of health, see where you are with each one, and do something about it.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you will not be healthy.
Yeah, I deal with some disorders that do have a genetic component for sure. Some of the skin disorders do, but even if it does, I mean, you still want to be at your most optimal function, whether you have a genetic predisposition or not. You want to be at your personal optimal
Right. Right.
function so
Yeah, yeah.
that that disease does not
Good
take
point.
hold. It doesn't matter if it ran in your family and your dad had it, your mom had it. It doesn't matter. Like, how do you want to come to terms with that disease? It's your decision to put it in to take responsibility for your health. But like I said, it might not always be the easiest. It might not always taste the best. It might require you to do some things you didn't really want to do. It might require some dedication in ways that you normally don't dedicate yourself. You can be responsible for your own presentation of that skin disease, even if your family had it.
True. So, how do you customize formulas for individuals?
I basically use many Chinese herbs. There are hundreds of Chinese herbs in what we call the Chinese herb materia medica, which is the list of the herbs that we use. They've been used for hundreds of years. This is how I like to explain it. There have been these formulas that have been passed down for hundreds of years, some of them thousands of years. They've been used for all different types of things, and dermatology was studied historically with Chinese herbalists treating dermatological conditions like acne and psoriasis for very, very many years. So there have been herbal formulas that were formulated for those skin disorders. And what we do is, if you go to some Chinese herbalists who are also acupuncturists, they might say, here's a bottle of some pills, herbal pills, take this to clear your skin. That's not the type of medicine I practice because I believe in the beauty of customizing these herbal formulas. So I take the formulas that have been used for all these hundreds of years. I choose the appropriate one for the skin condition where it is at that time in this exact human, taking into consideration what that human is going through and who they are. And I choose the formula for them, and then I take out the herbs that they don't need, and I add in more specific herbs for their skin. So for instance, I'm really looking very closely at how much scaling is on the skin, how many pustules are there in this person's acne, how many deep cystic nodules are in this person's acne, what percentage of the face has white heads, what percentage has black heads, and choosing herbs specific to each of those features, but also specific to what phase of healing we're in and what the individual is dealing with. So you won't see me making a formula for somebody who's struggling with sleep that does not include an herb that supports sleep. And there are many herbs that support sleep and also overlap to support a particular skin issue. One of my favorite herbs for sleep really also helps with inflamed red skin. And actually, one of my favorite herbs for sleep helps with, this is a very strange symptom, but if you have had a skin disorder with this, you'll recognize it. And the symptom is itching where there's no lesion present. That herb is specifically for itching where there's no lesion present, and it's excellent for sleep. So I'm looking for these specific combinations to know which herb to put in their formula. So that's kind of how I customize it. And then similarly with the topicals, right? I mean, I'm going to look at their skin, and if it's moist and wet, they're going to get something different than something that's very dry and inflamed. I'm making sure they're getting the right product for their skin.
It sounds as though it's very customized.
It is, yeah.
Very customized. What you've spoke about so far is you treat people with severe and chronic skin conditions. What about people with minor issues? Do you think the quicker they maybe go to see somebody like yourself, they can nip it in the bud?
Yeah, I have minor issues come up in the clinic, and a lot of times the minor issues can be managed with topicals, herbal topicals or natural topicals. But really what I see the most of are more severe conditions where people have tried all the medications and they're not working, or the medications made them worse. And so I'm getting a lot more of the kind of significant presentation of eczema presenting across the body. And the reason that that's good for me is that it's much harder. It's so funny, it always surprises people, but it's much harder to treat a disorder where it's just popping up occasionally because you don't know if it went away. It's like you get a little zit here 1 week, and then you get them 4 weeks later, and then those people are very hard for me to treat because I don't know, what'd you eat that day? It's just so random that it comes up. But where you have a skin condition that's constantly present on the face and very severe, you just watch it change like magic. I mean, it really is beautiful, the difference between the beginning and the end of the process. So I see much more of those chronic skin conditions. But if people have questions like, hey, do you have anything for this little issue? I'll tell you, one of the things I see often that's very small is I treat a lot of viral warts. So molluscum, common warts, plantar warts, lots of warts. And they're pretty quick and easy for me to manage with the topical oil that we have here at the clinic.
What is the root cause of warts?
They're the warts that I treat, typically they're viral illness. Yeah.
Interesting. You know, something just while you were talking about all this, something came to my mind. There's a company here in Denver called Wellness Way. I personally know Dr. Mooberry, and they have a test for food allergies. If you eat in a food you love, it could well be affecting your skin and other issues you're not aware of.
Very true. There's the atopic march, which shows that people with food allergies and asthma and allergic rhinitis and eczema are related disorders that kind of co-occur together. And when they co-present, a lot of times you know that somebody who's got eczema also has food allergies. So that type of testing is so very important to so many of my dermatology clients. A lot of them know what their skin triggers are and will avoid those foods. A lot of times if you have a food allergy to some pretty specific foods, you're actually quite sensitive to many foods. And so a lot of times they may be avoiding the things that they're allergic to, but still very sensitive and sometimes having eczema flares.
Maybe not even aware of the foods, what may be causing these issues.
Absolutely. In which case that testing would be an
That
excellent idea.
testing would be, so is probably the first thing they should consider.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd love to know more about your coaching setup and just, when you're working with people, are you working with them in person? Are you working with them more
So
remotely?
I primarily work one-on-one with clients remotely, usually by phone. And I also offer the option of a Zoom session with a recorded copy so that they can refer back to it at any time. I'm also now reaching out to families to try and educate the parents
Oh, that's great.
about what they may be feeding the children. And I'm also reaching out to corporate offices and companies to do lunch and learns. What I'm trying to do is get my message to millions, as many millions as I can. Take care of yourself. It's not that hard if you know what you should be doing at least, and slowly work towards that. I always say, one, find an accountability partner. Somebody to go on this journey together with, whether it be a co-worker, a family member, a friend. And equally as important, because studies have shown this, journal your progress, because you can look, especially if you're dealing with high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes, it's imperative that you journal it. Because at some point you're going to go to your doctor and go, well, look, this is where my blood pressure was. This is on week 2, week 3, week 4, week 6, look at it now. Then at some point your doctor, it seems to me, don't have a choice but to say, well, we need to reduce it. I never tell anybody to stop the medication or anything. I do lean on them. I need proof by a photograph that they're taking the blood pressure and they do
Right.
the blood glucose. Even that's another thing. People go to the doctors once a year to get the blood pressure checked. Your blood pressure can change in the snap of a finger. I check mine every week and I encourage everybody, go get a blood pressure cuff. Learn
Mhm.
how to take it properly because there's at least 10 mistakes how people are doing it right. But
Mm.
it comes down to self-care. I say self-care is healthcare. Get
Mhm.
invested in your health. I know everybody spends hours and hours on the business and on the
Right.
families and on the life, but they don't seem to spend any time on the health, which is the most important thing because without your health, you're not running a business.
That's
You're
right.
not playing with your grandkids as you get older. You're not going on vacation. Where did I bumped into a young, I say young lady, she was 80 years of age. And she was telling me she'd just come back from a month and a half tour in Europe. Wow. There is not many people at 80 years of age can go tour Europe. And we got talking about the 5 pillars of health. She was doing every one of them.
Nice.
Some of them were unbeknownst to her that these were the 5 pillars of health. I don't drink alcohol anymore. You don't have any stress anymore. How would you get stressed going around Europe for a month and a half? And she understood nutrition. She moves a lot, exercises, included some strength training. Wow, you're very impressive.
That's it. It's that
Very
basic.
impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive. If someone has reoccurring skin issues but isn't ready for a full consultation, where can they go to learn more about your work?
Thank you. My website is lightanddarkacu.com. That's lightanddarkacu.com. Everybody wants to spell acupuncture with 2 C's at the beginning. That is not how it's spelled. Thank you.
Hmm.
There's only 1 C in acu. Anyway, and then I have an Instagram page and Facebook page, and on those I really share content about what I'm doing. And I also have been writing lots of blogs in my blog page, which is on my website. You can follow those along if you'd like to know more about what I'm doing. But I will say, if people are interested and they have questions, I do offer a free phone consultation. So it doesn't cost anything to book a phone consultation with me
Lovely.
to ask questions about what the process would look like. And in those free phone consultations, I'm always offering information about how long I think I will need to work with a person, how
Right.
many weeks in a row, and then when can we start to space it out. I try to give people a realistic view of what it's going to look like, what the cost will be, that kind of thing.
Right. Great. Okay. Your phone number.
It's 720-441-4382. You can reach out anytime, but it's definitely on the website as well.
Lovely. And the free consultation, that's an invite for people to at least go have a free consultation, see what you might be up against.
Yep, absolutely.
So I do the same, free consultations, it's necessary.
Yeah.
The people, educate people of why they got this issue, give them some tips and some pointers how they can start to work on it themselves if that's what they want to do. But then if they need some assistance, then they know where to go.
Yeah, I always also try to connect people with the right fit. If I feel like maybe they're not ready to do the kind of work that I want to do because they mentioned I can't handle the taste of the herbs or something like that because herbs don't taste good. But then I try to send them in the right direction, somewhere they can get some
Right.
solutions.
How do people deal with these herbs what don't taste good? What is it? How do they get them down?
Yeah, there's lots of ways to do it. I'm an herbalist, so I like the taste. I know it's
Oh,
medicine.
interesting.
I know if it's the most bitter, potent, awful tasting thing, that's the medicine. That's the medicine that tastes like that. So that's how I do it. But so some people are really into it and they can handle it fine, but others really struggle with the taste. And when that's the case, I'll either recommend that they eat something like a dried fruit afterwards or add some honey to it, depending on what the formula is and what we're doing. And I always the concentrates are great because it's just a teaspoon. It's just a teaspoon a couple times a day. You're not having to drink whole bags of herbs. The more severe conditions and the raw herbs that I send people for that, those are kind of larger bags of herbs and they got to really work at that. If you're somebody that can get things down, it's no problem. If you're somebody that needs some support, my biggest tip is always don't do the thing where you just wash it back with water. Everybody thinks that's what you need to do. But actually, that expands the flavor in your mouth. It kind of works, but it does expand the flavor in your mouth. So I always recommend actually to eat something that's a different flavor, replace the flavor in your mouth with something else. So that's a little tip in case you eat something you don't like.
Would they be able to maybe add them to smoothies and?
I don't typically recommend doing that because once you start thinking about adding it to different other liquids, then you're looking at changing the action of the herbs. I am trying to get people to take them just by themselves. I knew an herbalist who used to say, I don't care if you put it in your coffee or your juice or whatever, just get it down. I don't take that perspective because I've had people add it to like mint tea. Well, mint is an herb. Peppermint is one of the herbs that we use. So you've changed the action of the formula if you've added peppermint to it. Like I didn't put that peppermint in that formula for a reason. So I try to just get people to take the herbs by themselves and give it a little bit of time before you have something else that's medicinal, like a supplement or something like that. I also have people space them from their medications. And I will say about medications, I think this is important that people always come to me and say, my doctor doesn't know what's in this, and my doctor doesn't know if I should take it because they don't know what's in it. Well, your doctor didn't study Chinese herbs, but I studied medications. My job as an herbalist is to make sure there are no interactions between the herbs and the medications that you're on because I have that training. Your doctor does not have that training, and they don't know herbs, and they specifically don't know Chinese herbs. There have been more Western doctors talking to me about Western herbs before. Western herbs are ones that grow here in the West. Western herbs are great, but Western herbalism is often practiced in lots of different ways. I don't want to speak for a Western herbalist, but often they will offer just like one herb. And you're going to start taking turmeric, right, for your inflammation. But Chinese medicine doesn't work that way because we really look at the synergism of the herbs and the way that Chinese herbalism has been done in history. There should be a lot of respect given to those who sort of crafted this particular medicine because they did it in the way that makes the most potent herbs, the most potent herbal remedies with the best synergistic effects, which help reduce side effects when you get herbs that work together like that. It's just important to know that doctors are starting to talk a little about herbs as if they know more about them. I don't know what their training is, but I think that you should still go to an herbalist.
I don't think the
herbalist has that training.
Molly, thank you for being my guest today. I've definitely learned a lot. I hope our listeners have learned a lot. I would like to say thanks for listening to Simply Health Conscious podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, share it with somebody who might benefit from it. For more information and videos, you can visit my website at simplyhealthconscious.com, and you can contact me at simplyhealthconscious@gmail.com. Remember, self-care is healthcare. Until next time, take care.